Hi, I'm Terry Murphy, Senior Editor for Realty Times, Women in Business, Women in Real Estate in the Men's Room with Murph. But today we have a fabulous woman in business. And if you wanted to be a speaker and you wanted to book more business and have more engagements and make more money, you would call Lois Creamer. So she's been around. We've known each other for how many years, Lois?
Well, 20 at least.
Yeah, through the National Speakers Association, and she's an author of Sell a Book More Business, Make Money Speaking, and then a co-author. Would I say that correctly? Co-author
Yes. Mm-hmm.
with and sell more books and book more speeches. And the reason that I think that Lois is such a value to people who want, because I don't care if you're presenting to a board of directors, if you're in a courtroom, or if you're just doing sales presentations, and I don't mean to mitigate sales presentations. People need to know how to present themselves. And Lois, you are the queen. Talk to us a little bit about what you do and who you do it for.
Well, I like to think that positioning is my thing. And really, I've got the nichest business in the world when you think about it. I work with professional speakers, consultants, and experts. And really, people have to know their expertise. I don't tell people what their expertise is. They really need to have a speech down, a speech that they can deliver well and a good speech. And then they come to me when they want to make money with it. How do I sell it? Who do I talk to? What do I say? What will they want to see from me? And how do I position myself in a very crowded marketplace to stand out from that crowd? So that's really what I do. It's the nichest business in the world. I used to speak on sales, but the only speaking I now do are to groups of professional speakers here in the United States, around the world.
I know you've got all kinds of amazing recognitions. So you've helped a lot of people grow their businesses. What do you see is the biggest mistake entrepreneurs make?
You know, the biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is that they do not have a pattern, a cadence to their marketing. I have found this to be a continuing thread, Terry, through my 20 years doing this. I think every day that we're in the office, we need to be doing outbound marketing. And I don't care whether you say I'm going to make 5 calls a day or 1 call a day or whatever you're going to do. I was just talking to someone who said to me that their business was down. It's a client of mine I've worked with several times over the years. And she said, my business is down. What are you hearing? And the first question I asked her, Terry, was, how much time did you spend outbound marketing yesterday? And I heard crickets. The amount of interest that you're going to get into your enterprise, whatever it is going to be directly proportional to what you're putting out there to engender that interest. And so I think that people need to have a pattern of behavior when they're in the office. And I was talking to somebody just yesterday, and I said, you know, if you would make 5 calls a day, that's 100 new contacts a month, 100. And if you get voicemail, you can do it in 10 minutes or less. So I think the lack of really dedicating time to outbound marketing and creating that interest in the enterprise is the thing that many of us fall short of. And I say us because I do it too.
Well, having been in sales my whole life as well, I can tell you that very often and as a coach, that very often they don't know what to do. And you've got a whole marketing package that you put together, and we're going to save that for a little bit later. But if you can help people get over that first phone call, that first conversation, that script or that cadence that we talk about, I think that's really a good step. Now, the second one you said was the marketplace is uncertain. Oh, you think? We've got politics, we've got economics, we've got budgets, associations. We just got over COVID, and that slam dunked a lot of people. Tell us, how do we regain that control? How do we regain our...
You know, I think that is so challenging. And I wrote a piece on this. It's on my website blog, bookmorebusiness.com, on uncertainty. And a few weeks ago, a speaker friend of mine came through town, and we had dinner after her speech, and she was flying out the next day. And she is really gripped with uncertainty because much of her work up until now has been with the government.
Ooh.
And so a lot of her work was just wiped off the slate. And talk about dealing with uncertainty. I think that the way to deal with uncertainty is not by feeling helpless and feeling like a kite in the wind. You have to exert control over the things that you can control. My mother, rest her soul, had a philosophy that I have, and I hear my daughter recite it to me now, and it does my heart good. And that's it. This is the philosophy: I control what I can, I lift up what I can't. And this has served us well for many lifetimes. But I think here are the things that you can control in an uncertain market like we are experiencing right now. I think you can control how you position yourself. How you position yourself. You can control who you're reaching out to. Are you target marketing, which I think are the keys to the kingdom. I think when you're not target marketing, everybody's a prospect. And when everybody's a prospect, we end up doing nothing because we're overwhelmed. So target marketing. And I also think the amount of energy I'm going to put in, back to your question number one, the amount of energy I'm going to put into what I'm putting out every day that I'm in my office, that is totally within my control. So I think it's looking at the many things that we can control. And sometimes it's more than we realize when we think about it. But I think that that's it. In times of uncertainty, exert the control that you can. Leverage the control that you have, and just do not be a kite in the wind. Those are people who end up doing nothing in uncertain times except waiting for something to change. And that is never a good plan.
Well, and you also know that target marketing is way better, narrowcasting, as Jeff Slutsky used to call it.
That's right.
Narrowcasting versus broadcasting, because the message gets lost. But more importantly, I think no matter what happens in the market or whatever, when you're a resource, people come to you because you're a resource. And I think, do you think, and this is kind of tangent to what we're talking about, a lot of people depend on electronic marketing instead of face-to-face. And you said, pick up the phone. How many people did you talk to? It's still a relationship business. I mean, you've seen that over the years. I mean, yes. Repeat clients.
It is. Here's what I see that has happened over the last several years. People would much rather send an email or a text or put something out on social media rather than talking to someone. And then it seems like, oh, I'm doing something. Well, you're doing something, but I'm telling you, it's not going to be very effective. You know, I remember I'm having a new website done right now. And I remember the last time, my current website, I was asked by the person who did it, what do you want the overall call to action to be to your website? And, you know, it might surprise people as a marketer, it might surprise people that my call to action was not hire me. My call to action was pick up the phone and talk to me about what's going on in your business. And I will let you know if I can help. And if I can't, maybe I have a resource for you. My call to action is creating a relationship, which I think is the highest calling, because then people trust you for whatever you're going to suggest, hopefully. But I do think that one of the biggest mistakes is that we're not reaching out personally. And Terry, I had a very successful speaker, a client of mine, a couple of weeks ago called me who got a job that he had been wanting. He'd been marketing to these people forever. They finally said, we're going to bring you in. And he said, this is what the decision maker in that corporation said to him. You know, nobody's calling me anymore. Nobody's calling me anymore. They're emailing me, but nobody's calling me anymore. And I'll tell you right now, in the speaking industry, everything's a negotiation. Everything. And you cannot negotiate over email or text or social media. You have to have these conversations in order to ascertain fit.
That is so true. And we see that in I see it in so many industries that I consult with. So yeah, face-to-face kids, and you will see that there's a challenge with the younger generation because they've not been socially schooled with or how to present or how to actually speak to someone. I don't think it's getting better, but that's another whole podcast.
Well, you know, the reality is I think we get better at this by doing it, by jumping in and doing it.
So true.
if I ran the world, and I don't, but don't share that with everybody. But if I ran the world, there would be Toastmasters clubs in middle schools and high schools all across the United States. People would know how to communicate in a really savvy way. But the best way, and I always say this, and I said this in a virtual program I did earlier this morning, this very day, you have to be able to sell yourself. You can have the best speech, the best consulting program, the best course, the best product. It will go unheard, unsaid, and unbought if you can't sell it.
Well, that brings me to that next question, and that is, if someone really wants to go from being good at what they do to getting paid, where do they start? I mean, it's busy out there.
It really is. I think the first step is to have a great speech. If you don't have a great speech, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. The second step is the ability to present it in a great way. And I'm going to bring up Toastmasters again. I call Toastmasters the off-Broadway of speaking. A lot of my professional speaker friends go to Toastmasters all the time to practice material and get what I call well-considered feedback from people who are practiced in giving feedback. So have a great speech and the ability to deliver it. Then the next step is just asking for money. This might sound easier. I'm always asked, how do I go from being unpaid to being paid? And I always say, stick a price tag on it and ask for it. You risk a yes every time you ask for something. So take a chance and ask. As I just said, everything's a negotiation. So if I say my fee is $20,000 and they don't have $20,000, I can say, what kind of a budget are you working with? I'd love to find a way that we can make this happen. And then take it from there and see if there's a way we can fit. You can't always fit. Sometimes it's an opportunity to refer someone with less experience into a job, but sometimes you can negotiate for value far more than you ever dreamed.
That's so true. So one of the things that I always look as a coach of what stops you from, what stops you from that? And sometimes it's a script. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to get past the gatekeeper, those kinds of things. But you built BMBwithAI.com, Book More Business AI with AI.com.
Yes.
And that literally has some tools in your system to how to organize. Because I think at the end of the day, Lois, we want to do it, and then we get lost in the cogmires of trying to figure out, what do I do first? Is this a good marketing piece? I don't know how to use Canva. Yeah. Talk to me about how do these tools make it easier besides putting it all in one place?
Well, I first have to say that B&B with AI, it's my intellectual property on parade, but it would not be a product without my friend Doug DeVitri, who's a professional speaker and an AI guru, who really first talked to me about this, and then this just developed into something quite fantastic. But what it allows professional speakers, consultants, and experts to do is house all of your marketing materials, scripts. I have my suggested scripts. For example, if you're talking to someone and you're hearing some pushback on fee, you can literally be in my program and click on, what would Lois say about this? And then you see what I would say about it. And it's kind of like having me in your back pocket 24/7 as your personal consultant. But I think lots of times we spend a lot of time creating marketing materials, bios, core offering sheet, all kinds of things. And this is a way to do that using ChatGPT-5, the latest iteration of Chat, to do just that. And it's all housed in one program. So you can go back and customize something for a target market one time and change it up the next time. If you did it just on ChatGPT, which you could without my program, you would have to reinvent the wheel every time. It doesn't save these things. But in B&B with AI, it's always saved. It's always there. You can create proposals within it. You can create referral for proposals in it, all kinds of things. And I even have a course on my latest book.
I'll tell you what, and you even have a wonderful ebook, by the way, that people can get for just downloading.
I do.
Yeah, and I mean, I made sure I got a copy because it's
Thank you.
How to Sell Your Speech by Lois. Lois works with professional speakers who want to book more business, make more money, and avoid the costly mistakes. And I think having helped write the 1 Minute Entrepreneur with Don Hudson and Ken
That's right.
Blanchard,
Yeah,
we did so much. I did so much study specifically for women. And you said three things that I just want to reiterate. And that was, one is ask. Women don't generally ask. You have to have a baseline and you have to feel it. And again, you can say, okay, tell me more about your budget. Tell me more about, speakers you
that's
had
right.
before. But at the end of the day, kids, there's so much out there. And if you're struggling, this woman has worked with Hall of Fame speakers, top best-selling authors. She's an author herself. We can get the book on Amazon, Lois?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, there's two of them. One is the Book More Business, Make Money Speaking, and that's
Actually, yeah, the newest edition, which is just out the last several months, is Make More Money Speaking. Book More Business, Make More Money Speaking.
I like that.
That's the latest edition. I rewrote the new edition, Terry, so I could add some things germane to artificial intelligence, licensing video. What do you do with all the video that's out there? If you're a professional speaker, how can you control it? How can you make money? How can you create an income stream with all the video that's out there? And virtual programming. So all of those are new to this new edition.
So there you go. Here, and I think this is going to probably answer the last question, which is, you've worked with all these people, upcoming consultants, because really consultants can really shorten the trip to getting where you want to go. What separates the ones who struggle and the ones who really get it done?
I think it's work ethic. And this kind of has been a reoccurring theme that you and I have had these last several minutes that we've been together. I think it's the effort. And I think that, again, I would just say the effort you put out is what you will reap coming in. And, I was telling a story this morning in a virtual program. I said I was working with a gentleman who was a referral to me, a very good client referred. And he bought a package from me, Terry. And part of the package was my book. And he actually read my book before we worked together, which was nice. And he said, Lois, I know in our next session, we're going to talk about sales. And I disagree with you philosophically on selling. I don't want to sell myself. What I want people in the audience to refer me, hire me, or I want people to hire me from what I put out on social media. And I said, well, wouldn't we all like that? Friend, I won't use his name. And he said, well, that's the way I feel about it. And so I started a sentence, which is with this phrase, which my clients hate hearing, by the way, Terry. I started a sentence with him by saying, with all due respect. And so I said, with all due respect, here's what's going to happen from here. We're not going to be working together anymore. And he said, what? And I said, I don't want anyone to think that I told you this was a good plan for hacking out a career, because it's not. And I'm even going to refund the money, all the money that you paid with me. And he said, well, you don't need to do that. I said, I insist on it, because your plan is not going to work, and I can't be associated with it. The reality is that we all want people lined up at our door with checks hiring us. That's not the real world. So we have to control what we can. And I think the people who are really successful in this business and others, and a lot of entrepreneurs, are the ones who control their circumstances, create their own circumstances. So in times of uncertainty, they're going to circle the wagons and control what they can and exert whatever influence they can. But we have to work really hard. That's the life of an entrepreneur. We've got to work really hard.
Truly. And as a business coach, I'll say, and you have to work on the business as well as in the business. And we're much more comfortable in the business. Like you said, picking up the phone, nurturing relationships, nurturing your sphere of influence, good referrals to other people. I mean, it's a relationship business. And Lois, no one is better suited than you. You have walked the walk. You've endured all kinds of markets, all kinds of challenges, especially in the speaking industry. I think nothing was as tough as COVID, which
Yes,
stopped everybody from even
it did. It did.
talking to each other. But if somebody wanted to hire you as a consultant or to have you speak, what's the best way to reach you?
Best way to reach me is go to my website, bookmorebusiness.com, and you can contact me through there. You can get that free ebook that you have, How to Sell Your Speeches, by signing up for my blog. Happy for you to have that. But send me an email, give me a call, whatever works for you. Reach out. And also on that website, if you click on services, it tells you exactly what I do, how I do it, and what I charge.
And that is so good. And then if somebody wanted the BMB site with some of the tools, just tell us again what we can find there.
It's bmbwithai.com. And it is really I call it a speaker toolkit. That when Doug and I were thinking about how dynamic can we make this, it's much more dynamic than I ever dreamed, I'll tell you. With Doug's imagination and his ability to perform magic, is what I call it, with AI. But it really is the toolkit you need to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward as an industry expert. Why should people hire you? How can I create professional materials that really represent me well? I always say I want my clients, when they say their fee, I want a prospect to be relieved. I want them to think they're much more. Their materials are so good. The look is so good. They're so clear. And so they're just, it is just a virtual toolkit, literally a virtual toolkit that you can use. We ask you to subscribe for a year. We're constantly asking for feedback on it. So anyone who gets it, let us know how it's working for you. We genuinely, we want to correct anything that isn't working well for you. But I think it's very exciting. And this is really, I would really challenge, Terry, all of the people listening today to be thinking, how can I use AI to create a new product, a new income stream for myself? Because this is the brave new world of AI. You best embrace it.
Exactly. Well, Lois, it has been such a pleasure to have you share your expertise. And the gift about entrepreneurs like yourself is that when you have proven systems, when you have proven experience, when you have testimonials where you have so many, because there's so much about you that you can find out on the website if you go there. It helps people live their best lives because we help each other. And I would say to you, if you've aspired to wanting to be a speaker, if you want to improve your presentation skills for any reason and let people know how you do that, then you need to talk with Lois. Lois, I hope you'll join us again for another segment on Women Helping Women. Thanks so much for joining us. And thank you for sharing that fabulous experience with all of us.
An honor being with you, Terry. Thanks.